Are you ready for it?
Hello and welcome. My name is Carolyn Roberts, and I am the author of Tessa's Red Dress. And I am connecting with educators from all over on this podcast to talk about how we step into having difficult conversations in the classrooms with younger students or just in education in general. So, we have some voices from all over to help you step into this work. So, come join the conversation. Hello and welcome back. We are now speaking with Amanda, and I'm just going to let her introduce herself and let us know what type of work it is and where you're located and all those things.
Hi, my name is Amanda Nsi, and I am in Thompson, Manitoba, where I've lived for the last 20 some odd years. I spent almost 20 years in the north, which is Thompson's very far north, and I taught grades 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. And
Right.
I did also resource because I have a passion for resource and I have a master's degree in special education. So I worked in resource for a while. And then I came over to where I'm working now is the University College of the North at the Thompson campus in the Kina Now Bachelor of Education program. So I teach future educators, and we are a special program that I really believe in. I left my career to come over here because it was a program created by our local elders who felt that we needed a better focus to help Indigenous communities and to grow Indigenous teachers. So that's what our focus is. And I've been here at UCN for about 5 years. Myself, I'm from Southern Ontario. So I am not Indigenous. I am British background on my mom's side and Jamaican background on my father's side. I have 4 children, which I like to talk about because I like to brag about my 4 kiddos. 3 of them come from another mom. Her name's Dawn. She's amazing, and they're in the foster system. So they're with me. I've had them since they were little nuggets, 2 years old, and they are Nissequoiastic Cree Nation band members. And then I have one biological child. And if anyone's wondering, my last name is Strange, Insi. It's because it is from my husband's culture, who's Nigerian. So we are a very multicultural group.
Wow, yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I'm glad you came to talk to us today about talking about challenging subjects in the classroom.
Mhm.
So, a lot of the people that I've been talking with have just shared with us some of the ways that they step into challenging topics because they know that educators they feel that fear when we're talking about heavy subjects because they don't want to harm and they don't want to do anything wrong within their classrooms. So I'm just so curious about how you approached it in your classrooms or how you approach it even in your teaching in higher ed.
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenging topics. And I find as somebody who is not Indigenous, sometimes there's a lot of fear of making a mistake and embarrassing yourself, embarrassing others, um, being disrespectful. And so we kind of shy away from it and just don't even go there. And so what I learned from actually a professional development with an elder, he said, you will make mistakes, and that is good. You make them, you learn from them, you apologize, you move forward, as long as you are doing it with an open heart. And so that's what I tell my students as well, going into the classroom, that if you wait until you're comfortable, you're never going to be comfortable. Like I still am not comfortable in teaching all of these topics. And I know we're going to get into missing and murdered Indigenous women and how would anybody be comfortable
Yeah,
teaching that?
right.
It shouldn't really be comfortable.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
such a good point, right? And we don't learn anything in that comfort zone. It's we have to sit inside that discomfort and learn and grow from it. I love, yeah, that's usually what I tell people too. If you make mistakes, you just own your mistake and then do better next time. Do something different. Make sure that you've learned how to do it better next time when you step into it. So,
Mhm.
thinking about some of your younger classrooms, because it sounds to me that you've taught all the grades.
Most, but my passion is early years. My last few years were early years. I started in early years and I went back to early years. Like that's what brings me joy is the little ones. So
Yeah.
um yeah, that's where most of my career was in.
Okay, so how did you talk about the subjects like Red Dress Day in that in your classroom?
Well, to be honest, I didn't at first.
Mm,
Okay. It was just a few years in when I thought okay, we're doing what I was feeling uncomfortable with is that a lot of the school I would look around and I would see that we're doing Orange Shirt Day
hmm
and then done, I did it, right?
hmm
And I felt like, well, there's more to the story than that. And there's so many things that we can talk about. And it brought up the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Thompson, Manitoba. Like it affects everybody. Like I personally don't have any family members that are missing, but I have friends who have family members and sisters and brothers, two-spirit individuals that are missing. And so everybody knows somebody that is missing. And so it's something that affects our children,
hmm
and they don't necessarily at the ages of 7 and 8 that I taught, they don't get it. Um, and I don't know if they really should at that age get the whole thing,
hmm
but it's important. They're not oblivious to things
hmm
that are going on around them. And so how can we start to open up tough discussion without introducing fear and and um and all of the heaviness of the murder word,
Yeah.
but knowing that this is reality and we need to be safe.
hmm
And so you can't just ignore it and pretend it's going to go away. So
hmm
it's finding that balance. And with my grade twos, we did, we taught, they knew that we were learning about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. They knew what the MM stood for, but we didn't stay focused on the murder part.
hmm
They understand what murder is, they know what it is, they know that it's sad. Um, but we focused more on honoring women. So that is kind of the avenue that I took. And in developing the unit, the first time that I did it was actually with a student teacher of mine. She came in to do her final placement, Sandra Smeaton, from UCN before I was full-time working here at UCN. I was a classroom teacher. And I said, you know what? This is something I really want to do. Would you partner with me on this kind of wild idea of teaching MMIWG to grade twos? And she took it on. So we developed it together, and it worked really well. I felt that the students really understood the part that they needed to understand at that age.
Nice. Well, I love the fact that the collaboration piece, right? That if you feel uncomfortable or nervous or scared, is there another teacher you could collab with to
Mhm.
create something together so that, and then you can have those conversations. What went well in your classroom? This is what I found challenging. Did you find it challenging? Maybe we could look at it in a different way. That, because I always tell my teacher head students, I like to call them kids, but they're my students.
I
I
do too. It's the grade two teacher in me. I'm always saying, my kids, they're
right?
adults.
They're adults.
Mhm.
Is that so like teaching isn't a solo gig, that we need other educators. So I love that collaboration piece. So what were some of the things that that you did in the classroom that helped?
So first I had to like learn more. And
Hmm.
at the time, Um, Not that this was that long ago, but like I'm so thankful to see your book coming out because so much when you don't know, especially as an early years teacher, a lot about the topic. Um, if you feel you're an outsider to the community or it's something new to you, a good piece of literature can really help your lesson. But we didn't have that. So we found a guide. It's called Their Voices Will Guide Us.
Yeah.
It's free online for everybody. So much information in there for a teacher. Not a lot of stuff, to be honest, did I directly take from it and teach with my students. I used it a lot for my personal self to learn more and read more and where I could kind of go. So highly recommend that. And they have stuff for early years and older in there.
Hmm.
Um, so I learned a lot about myself, and then I had to see, okay, how do we want to share this with these kids? Um, I'll share a story from my son when he was in grade one. He came home one day. We went for a drive past the high school. It's a big high school in Thompson. And he looked out and he said, "Is that the scary school?" And I said, what do you mean by that?" And he said, "You know, the big school where they shave your head and you can't see your parents anymore?" And so this was the beginning of October. And I thought, I bet the grade one teacher had a discussion on residential schools.
Mm.
And he's thinking that's a residential school. And so I thought about that when I was going to start the MMIWG lessons with my grade twos, knowing that when you share something difficult and complicated and out of something that's not that they experience every day, they're going to make connections somehow. And some of those connections are not going to be great. Like thinking the high school, if he goes in there, they're going to steal him. Okay,
Hmm.
as a grade one. That's scary.
Oh.
And I didn't want any of my students to go home and feel scared, feel like they were going to be taken away or hurt. But how do you talk about missing and murdered women
Hmm.
without that? So my colleague and I decided that we were going to focus on, we called our unit Honoring Our Women.
Mm.
And so we just had them choose women in their life that they loved and cared about and treated them lovely. And we wrote about them. We made poems. We did artwork. We wrote a book together where everybody represented a woman that they loved. We shared stories of Canadian Indigenous women and some non-Indigenous women who inspired us as teachers. We read about different books. We put up a book display. Um, we had a dancer come in. So at the end, we did have a dancer come in. Her name is Felicia, and she had lost her sister,
Mm.
is a missing and murdered Indigenous woman. And she did a jingle dance with the students and did a smudge. And the students were able to participate in that and dance with her and some tears because it's very emotional at that time. So and she shared her story.
Mm.
We before the before the schools now in Thompson, we're very lucky that we have this program. I don't exactly know what it's called, but it's basically every school gets a kukum. And
Uh-huh. Aw.
so they have a school kukum. It's amazing. And but this was before that. We actually adopted a kukum in our grade two class. So we had our classroom kukum. And she was amazing. She came in and shared some of her stories, and she let all of the kids make their own bannock. It was,
Aw.
and we had an elder come in and she shared some stories. So it was really on connecting like the value of women and how important women are in our life. And it really does roll right into Mother's Day. We were going to, but we flew a little too close to the sun with all of our activities and we ran out of time. But we were going to also do a women's tea. That was going to be our conclusion. It ended up that our conclusion was we had a little meal sharing and then a jiggle dress dancer come in. But there was always more to grow into that every year. Yeah, so it was just on empowering women and that women are important in our lives.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And that's how I always saw it when I talked to school districts out in where I'm from. I'm from Vancouver. It was always about we need to set the foundation in the younger grades before they get to grade 4 about the importance of matriarchs in our community, what who they are and what they did within our communities, so that by the time when we get to grade 4 and we're talking about it in more detail, we understand the huge impact of losing
Yeah.
the females in our community. So I love that you centered it around that.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness, a classroom kukum, that would just be the best thing ever.
It was amazing. She actually came in a few times after and did activities with us. And now she's hired at Westwood School. She's Westwood School's school cookum, which is lovely because my kids, my actual children go to Westwood School and they get to see her. She's amazing. Elizabeth Masson. She's the best.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay,
Mhm.
so putting your teacher hat on,
Mhm.
let's say you had a room full of primary educators and they were terrified to open up the book and teach about it. What would be your advice for them?
My advice is I think it's okay to be terrified. I do. I think that I'm never going to put my feet up and relax and say, a lovely topic. Let's all, talk about like it's going to be rough and that's okay. But you have to do tough things as a teacher. That's kind of a big role of ours is to do the tough things. And so if you're in early years, yeah, don't focus on the murder part. Focus on that this is a reality. We want to keep our kiddos safe. And the truth is, they already know people that are missing.
Yeah.
Like they really do. If you're trying to protect them from this, if you're in a community like mine, you might not be, but if you're in a community like mine, I guarantee that every early years classroom has at least a handful of students that are personally related to somebody that's missing. So
Mhm.
we're not sheltering them from that. This is for protection for the future. And yeah, we're not going heavy into the murder in grade 1 and 2. They will get there, but we're priming it. We're getting them ready. We're showing them the importance of women and the value. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to be uncomfortable and still do it.
Mhm.
And if you like the biggest advice, we talked about that collaboration piece, find somebody that you trust that can work with you on the project. If
Mhm.
it's your first time doing it and you are really, really nervous, get in contact with your community. If you are in a school district that is lucky to have uh, people hired in your school board, we do in Thompson, in the school district of Mystery Lake, has a staff of people that we can call and ask questions of. Here at UCN, we have a campus elder
Mhm.
that I love, Elder Linda. I will go to her and ask her some advice on how to do things, and she will come and talk to students about things. So if you are feeling inadequate, you may always be.
Mhm.
You may always be. That's the reality. And that's okay. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to get better. Find a good partner then. But the bottom line is, unfortunately, you got to do it.
Right.
That's teaching.
That's teaching. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it evolves over time, right? Yeah, and I think with the importance of knowing and learning about, especially since the report came out in 2019, there's a lot of people that still don't know what's in the report and what it is that puts Indigenous women like myself and my family and my community at higher risk. And um, it's not the stereotypical things that we hear in the news and all of those things that say that it's our high risk lifestyles. It's the system that was in place that has put
Mhm.
us in danger. And what I did at the back of the book, and there is still more to come because apparently I like to read a lot. I put in the back of the book a little condensed kind of version of what chapter 4 was talking about in the report in order to help people. And I love that that's what you started with, is that even though that there might have not been a lot of resources within that package, there was a lot of things in there to help you learn. And in
Mhm.
order for us to feel more comfortable, the big pieces we need to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing. I think that's going to help a
Thank
lot of
you.
educators.
Thanks. Um, I want to ask a question actually.
Uh,
And it's maybe a question for that might not have an answer, but I do often as a teacher, I was thinking, okay, we have these, I don't want to sound negative, but almost these checklists of things that we have to get done.
hmm.
And one of them was the orange shirt day thing. Okay, done. Now I've done my
Yeah.
Indigenous content for the year and
Yeah.
I can move on. And we go in and we do these one topics and then we just leave.
Yeah.
And so my question is to, I guess, educators, is how are we making sure that we are not just jumping in on a topic, teaching um, Indigenous, pan-Indigeneity as a content, and then leaving? So how can we include in our year plan um, ways of teaching that we can be more holistic in how we're doing it? I know that in our Keen Now program, and I know UBC has a great teacher education program, very renowned for that as well, where we teach our students how to do that. But I think that one of the fears I have is that we are spending too much of our time in the classroom talking only on negativity. And
Mm,
there's so much joy in our, I'm from local Cree territory. There's so much joy in the
right.
local Cree culture, in the language, the beauty, and making sure that we share the history and the fact and the truth and keep our kids safe. And also, it's not all about fear and scared and isolation. It's also beautiful and
Mhm.
funny and caring and community and love. And so just maybe it's a challenge more than a question of how are you going to be able to not just go in and do one topic and leave because it's not a topic.
Yeah. Exactly. It's something that should be woven in all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
The lady that I just spoke to prior to you was talking about how she layered it in throughout the year so that by the time we got to talking about Red Dress Day in May, for us here, we march in May, that she has this foundation of understanding. The kids have this foundation and that we do bring it in. And exactly like what you say is what I talk about. I usually leave like the last half of my presentations. I talk about Indigenous brilliance. Here's another way that you can share Indigenous brilliance, and you can do this, and you can bring in authors, and you can look at movies, you can look at podcasts, you can look at our fashion shows. Like there's so many things that we can talk about Indigenous brilliance, how our culture has evolved over time, and that we have to balance the trauma with the brilliance.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get the full picture of who we are as stomos, as people.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Indigenous brilliance. Love
Indigenous
it.
brilliance, yeah.
Sounds like another book.
I'm on it. Thank you so much, Amanda. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I know that that's going to help some educators step into that fear. And I love that collaboration piece. So thanks for chatting.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today as we listen to Amanda and what she does for MMIW. I am looking forward to having more conversations with more educators, so check out our website at carolynroberts.net so that you too can sign up and be part of this conversation. Have a great day.
Are you ready for it? Oh.